From the Middle is a founding member of Odd Pods Media. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning into episode number 244 of From the Middle. We are three middle-class guys living in the middle of America, in the middle chapters of our lives, with a point of view that's somewhere in the middle. In the middle this week, we're all over the place, so read the description and you'll know better what we talk about, because I want to use this time to ask you a question. What's on your anti-bucket list? Meaning, very simply, what are things that you've done before, but you'd never do again? We'd love to talk about this on a future episode, so go ahead and send us any way that you can think of on social media, email, or text your answers to everything that's on your anti-bucket list. Read the description for this episode to know what we're up to, and enjoy.
Oh, for the love. Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it? You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved.
From the Middle after dark over here.
That's the dirtiest joke I've ever heard come out of Dillon's mouth.
It's a simple, chicken crosses the road joke. Anyways, I promise. I'm going to make a promise. I'm going to state something that sounds like a promise, but I don't really want to promise because I'm not going to be able to keep this for sure. I'm going to try my darndest to not fill every episode from here to later in the year with too many NCAA college, EA college football 25 updates. Okay. But there was one very quick thing that I thought was kind of funny, and I wanted to share only one tidbit of news from last week to this week. So I think I told you within the first 24 hours, something like 5,000 of the potential 11,000 players. I almost said employees. Ooh, that's dicey. 11,000 players.
You said the quiet part out loud, Dillon.
Oh gosh, man. Don't hire me for ESPN. Like something like half the players had already opted in within the first 24 hours. There had been no notable opt-outs until just before we started recording this episode. And this is kind of the only thing that the fans were afraid of, was like, you can't have anyone huge opting out of the game because people are still going to buy it, but that's like, right. And it's not huge in that it's not a starter, but I just saw on flip across my phone, Arch Manning is the first player to not do. He's the backup quarterback at Texas. And I think that's really interesting. His reason is dumb because he needs to focus on play on the field. And somebody was like, he knows he doesn't have to play the game, right? Like, this is all good publicity. There's no reason to really opt out. But to that, I have to say, I can't wait for Archibald Fanny III to take the lead of quarterback at my Texas dynasty. I can't wait. He's going to be the no name off the bench, 45 overall rated quarterback. And Archibald Fanny III will do wonderful things for the University of Texas, I'm sure. That's all we need is just to create a name. And if they want to turn off the name Manning for that player, fans will find other names for sure. They're going to find
Absolutely.
They're going to find lots of fun. Michael Scott gave us Lord Rupert Everton III, I think, his merchant who trades fancy dogs. There's plenty of great media names to go around for players who opt out. So there we go.
Princess Consuela Banana Hammock is another popular. And it's a perfect segue, friends, because I thought this when you brought this up last week. I thought, who's going to be the first player whose agent or consultant recommends that they push back on whatever the pay was to try to get more pay? Like when the Friends cast said, start paying us, I don't know, $1 million an episode. And they were like, dang it, we have to, because we want all 6 of them. The first player that pushes back is going to be the first of many, because then they're going to, I can try to negotiate a higher payout, or
Yeah.
This
thing
quickly
is-
goes down a road that a lot of people don't want to go down. Because it's if EA Sports gives into it, you're absolutely right. It causes a waterfall of people. Well, no, we're tearing up our contract too, and or saying no or whatever, right? And then it gets into this public debate of, these people really want their video game and they need all these players. Well, it's like, yeah, but and then you have the whole NIL conversation again. Are the players actually getting paid what they're worth? And if they're not, is it okay for them to demand more? And then now we're talking about, like, now it's the big bad company who's not willing to pay them more. And then it becomes into maybe the players unionize over this kind of thing eventually. And now we have to have those discussions. And
now Dillon's game is delayed by 2 years.
By 2 years, because there's an equivalent of an NFL or any professional sports has its own union. I bet you there's a union coming down the pike eventually for college players.
I have easy answers to all those questions.
I'm ready.
So if anyone wants to chat more, we can chat more. I really believe, though, this is one of those situations. The resounding majority of players have said, we'll take our $600, copy of the game, and we're just happy that it's coming out again. Sure. And nobody is important enough to tank the game and let them blackmail you over it. I don't care who it is. It could be the top 10 players at Ohio State, and I say, don't pay them, let them miss out, let them take the bad press. I could care less. Nobody is too important to not have the game. The game is worth far too much to far too many people for a handful of people. They can opt out for whatever reason they want. Honestly, at this point, because of how many people have opted in, it feels like ego. Maybe he's like, I'm going to be a backup. Maybe my rating won't look good, and I don't want to be in this game if I'm going to be a backup with a low rating as a quarterback. I don't know what his reason is. Maybe he really thinks it would be a distraction if he was in the game and he'd want to go play as himself. I don't know. It doesn't matter. He can have whatever reason he wants. Nobody's too important to let them blackmail you at this point. Just
right.
I think he knows he's got the hype, and I think he knows therefore he has the highest bargaining chip, the most bargaining power.
And maybe worst case scenario for him is he says yes late.
Yeah, he could flip it, and maybe EA has a handful of bags full of cash for a few key opt outs, and when that money's gone, that money's gone. But I would say, even if only 10% had opted in so far, great. You make the game anyways, and you don't worry about the opt outs.
Yeah, I think you're right.
People will be mad that key players opt out, but it won't keep them from buying the game.
Yeah.
They'd rather play as their team, because you're going to go deep into dynasty mode with 10 Joe Wilsons on your roster anyways. It won't matter. You just want to get the game. So anyways,
I don't care how many picket lines I have to cross. I'm going to get that game.
Yeah, I'll just plow through them with an oversized truck and make sure that game gets made,
I love it.
Speaking of manly things, I have a question for you guys. I made an observation while at an office last week that I thought was comical, and I wanted to get you guys' take on it. Okay, so I have a nice pair of Johnston and Murphy dress shoes that have the heels that click, like the wooden-y kind of sounding heels that click when I walk on a concrete.
So like leather heels?
Yeah.
Stacked leather heel?
Stacked leather, sure. They sound like wood, though, to the uninitiated. They're just that, yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah, it's a clicky heel.
Yeah. Click.
Yeah.
Fancy.
When I was walking behind men headed the same direction, they would turn and looked back thinking I was a woman, probably because it sounded like heels. And when you're in an office, I just feel like they think a woman who's dressed nice is following me. I want to. Never before have I gotten so many looks from men
Yeah.
at, at the office. And I wonder if it's because they think that the clicky heels are not a guy in Johnston and Murphy shoes, but a lady. This was noticeable. The amount of guys that turned and looked with that sort of like, what's going on back there face.
You should have started blowing kisses to them, blowing seductive kisses as they turned around and looked.
Oh, it's a real thing. And I'm like, okay, now, is there a way I can make the same sound, but can I walk differently? Can I walk in any sort of different way to make it sound less feminine?
You could just lean into it and tap dance down the hallway if you wanted. I have the same problem, but since I'm a plebeian, it's sticky tennis shoes, and my shoes make the sticky rubber sound, like as they're lifting up off the. That's my. I don't have fancy dress shoe problems.
It was half a dozen in the first couple hours that I was there, and I'm like, this doesn't normally happen.
That's funny.
It could just be people turning to look at shoes, but it felt
just a noise.
Different. Anyway, that was pretty manly. Hey, you guys ever done jury duty?
No.
You guys, while
I was invited once, but it was for the wrong county, and I had a warrant out for my arrest for not showing up.
So that was fun. That's what I'm afraid of. Let me tell you. I got this in the mail while I was away. This is a summons to serve as a juror. Listen to this. You are hereby summoned to appear for jury duty on the following dates: Tuesday, May 7th, Thursday, May 30th, Tuesday, June 25th, Tuesday, July 23rd, and Thursday, August 15th. Each of these dates, trials could usually last anywhere from 1 to 4 days per 5 dates. I thought you got like one case, one situation for a day or two, maybe even a whole week, not 5 dates up to 4 days per date. Is this like
I think
normally goes?
I think that like you show up, and I could be very wrong about what I'm saying here. I'm pretty sure you show up and relatively quickly you find out whether or not you have to stay, and most people don't have to stay. I think that that's true. Now, I also think, I believe it to be true, that if you are chosen and most involved case scenario, you end up on a trial and it lasts a week, I think at that point in time, any other dates on that list after that are null and void because you did it.
Interesting.
I could be wrong, but I think that's how that works.
That feels like a lot.
It does.
Well, does the paperwork say something about like, unless there's a reason you think you can't be?
Well, and this is where I go to jury on Amazon Prime and like, I'm super racist. I have a real problem with alcohol consumption.
Well, I don't think it's something we need to discuss at length here. I would say you have a legitimate reason to put it down, but we can talk about that another time.
Well, I already filled out my juror questionnaire and it asks some of those things, and I was honest about those things. But yeah, so the only exemptions are I'm having surgery or I have a medical reason why I cannot be there.
Yeah.
I don't live in that county anymore, so you have my old address. And again, these start May 7th, which is still a ways out, and go through August 15th. So this is 5 dates spread out over May, June, July, August, 4 months. They said, if you had vacation planned before March 11th, today's March 4th while we were recording, then you can say, my vacation may interfere with one of those times, and then we will consider excusing you from just that one date, but not the totality of the dates, which I've already done because we've got a trip planned in June. Anyway, that was like crazy. And then I actually reached out to the clerk for the judge. She's very nice, but she said, and since you travel a lot for work, if you find out that you have to travel over one of the other days, just at least let me know the week before. So I was like, okay, that seems more reasonable, but getting 5 dates that could be up to 4 days each time. Yeah, this is new to me. As a part of me that's a little excited, like, I love new experiences, and I'm like,
you can hit the lottery, get
well,
one of the big
and
ones, write a book.
This will make for some great content whenever I'm legally allowed to share what happened. It's like when Toby comes back from the Scranton Strangler.
That's what I wonder if you could just tell them that you're a member of the press, and if that will get you out like this.
I mean, you're not allowed to take your iPad and PS4 controller. You can't remote game while you're there. I think it's exciting. Knock on wood, I've never been summoned. Bree has been summoned. She didn't have to go, but
okay. I got summoned right when COVID was getting serious, and in 2020, and the dates I was given, it ended up being one of those like call before you come in, and it was like when all court cases were getting like pushed out or however they were doing. They didn't have it solved yet, and so they just kind of like forgot about me until now.
Yeah.
So nothing ever came of the first batch. Anyway, Kendall, what's up with you, my man? We've been getting some interesting texts from you this week.
Yeah. So let's see here. It's a Thursday. I get a text from Amy, from the guy that she used to work with, Dave. We've talked about, who is a remarkable, outstanding guy. He and his wife are such kind people. But he retired some number of years ago, and he and Amy have remained friends. And he sent her a text that said, unfortunately, his wife had a surgery, and they couldn't use their season tickets for their Ohio State men's basketball games. And the first one that he had mentioned was for the Ohio State Michigan game, which was on Sunday afternoon. And then, but he also mentioned, almost as a side note, there's also one tonight against Nebraska. So Thursday night. And so Amy sends that to me. And my first thought, for people who know me well, know the busy schedules, evenings are often like up in the air and things like that. And so my first thought is, oh man, tonight. Tonight. And so my daughter just finished her first foray with the sport of basketball. Her season is done. And I mean, she's little. And so it was like the upwards basketball, if people know what that is. And but she absolutely loved it. And she is enamored with playing basketball. And she thinks that she definitely wants to go for it again next season. And so it looks like we might be heading down that road, trying to find something sort of more organized, more official than upwards, and going down that road with her with basketball. And so she finished her season. So my thought was like, I asked her, I said, do you want to go to a basketball game tonight? Because I don't even know if like that's something that she would want to do. And she jumped at it. She was all about it. So I'm like, all right, we're doing it. We're going tonight. And then I talked to the boys, and Joel wanted to go to the Michigan game with me. And then he also had tickets for a hockey game on Saturday, which we didn't end up being able to make that one. I ended up hanging out with Isaac anyway and did something fun with him, just to let you know that I didn't forget about one of my kids. But Yeah, no, it was so Dave, thank you. Thank you so much for those tickets. You created two wonderful memories. For one for each of my twins. And it was wonderful. My first college basketball game was on Thursday with Lydia. And my first
Wow.
Michigan basketball game was with Joel. And it was so much fun. Um I do have to say this. There was somebody sitting near us in the stands at the Nebraska game
That offered to
that
get you a beer and you said no.
no. Things didn't go that far because of the information that I gave them. I'd let them know at one point, just kind of under my breath, just so you know, we're rooting for the wrong team because we have a dirty secret. And because while I'm there, I'm thinking to myself, do I wear Michigan stuff on Sunday? I've been on campus during Michigan Ohio State football games before, and I'm fine. Like I expect to get profanities thrown my way and people like legit threatening me. I understand that. I expect that if you're down around campus, students are crazy. And so like I'm kind of feeling out this section, this area a little bit. I wanted to make sure I mentioned that to somebody. And Dave had already kind of said like I should wear Michigan stuff because a little fun rivalry is a good thing. But I still wasn't convinced yet. And so I had I had mentioned to this lady that I'm a Michigan fan. And she had told me a story about her her daughter went to I think medical school at Ohio State and then residency at U of M at Michigan. And she said that during her residency at Michigan, her husband did not visit her. So I feel like most parents would still go visit their daughter. I'm saving my judgment for myself. But I think the tone of my voice probably means I don't have to. And so from there, I'm like, holy cow. And so now there's a piece of me that like wants to wear the Michigan stuff. Like if these also happen to be season ticket holders and they're going to be here on Sunday, and like I just want to make this guy a little bit uncomfortable. This is like I feel bad for his daughter. And so but they ended up being very kind people, I found out eventually. And it was so first impressions weren't great because of that situation. But they were very kind and cordial. And so that was Thursday. The Michigan game then on Sunday, I do wear my Michigan stuff. And or what I have, which is basically a hat, is a hat. Joel, my son, wore a Michigan jersey, a basketball jersey that we happened to have, and then a Michigan sweatshirt and a Michigan hat over it. And I will tell you what, two things that I learned. One is the basketball crowd is different from the football crowd. It's not the same crowd. The second thing is like just how nice. Remember when I told you like the Rangers made my obnoxious fans list?
Yeah.
Ohio State basketball fans are on my these are very pleasant and kind and nice people list. Like people were very supportive. I mean, Michigan, there was no two ways about it. Michigan had a horrible season. Like they've won 8 games all year. It's been bad, and they've had issues with all kinds of things over the course of the year, but that helped lead to it being quite that bad. But I mean, it's not like they had a Final Four caliber team to begin with by any stretch. So I knew that. Wore my Michigan stuff anyway, because that's what you do when you're a fan of a team. But these Ohio State fans, they were supportive, they were fun, a couple laughing and joking kind of things, but very mild. And like a different lady sitting next to me was like she was also of retirement age and was like she was using the oh sweetheart and hun kinds of language with me, like just being all kind of kind and trying to talk about basketball with me, where she knew way more than I did about the specific players and that kind of thing. But she was being very kind and chatty in good ways. And even walking to and from the stadium, like there was enough Michigan fans there that like I didn't feel alone. But at the same time, nobody was yelling or anything like that. There was like one teenager on our way out the door that had like said something, but even that wasn't horrible, and he was the only one who did so. So kudos to the Ohio State basketball fans and staff. Found out that one of the concession workers was a Michigan fan who was forced to wear scarlet and gray, and so I want to talk about their union situation with them another time, as long as we're talking about sports and unions. But
did you get his name?
her
name,
and Jane.
If you have a last name,
Doe,
she wants to play backup quarterback in Texas.
So was that the main difference in your observation and experience? There's just a milder, kinder audience between
the
college football fans and college basketball fans?
Yeah, the animosity level is just way different.
I find, having been to a handful of Ohio State men's basketball games, I feel like that arena is just a lot more accessible, both getting to the arena from the parking lots and once you're there, the elevators and stuff. So it attracts an older audience, whereas it's actually kind of hard to walk. There aren't shuttles that will drop you off right at the front door of the Horseshoe for a football game. And once you're there, you're hoofing it quite a bit. And so that's probably a broad generalization, but I find that it attracts an older, there's still kids there and it's still college football, but just men's basketball fans are a milder, kinder crew. I would
also
agree.
Those games are noticeably faster. Like you're sitting in the shoe on a hot day and you feel it when you're playing Hawaii and it's 45-7 and you're like, I've been here for almost 4 hours. You feel that game. Those basketball games are so much quicker. You're
2 hours.
You're in a climate controlled, stadium. It's just a much different experience.
Yeah,
also,
true.
I think the whole it's a good season if you make the tournament and win a couple rounds. Like, it's not like the national title where there's realistically 10-ish teams competing for one national title. This is
That's
lots
true.
of schools get into the tournament. You feel good if you get there. You feel really good if you win a couple games. Unless you're like, Kansas, Kentucky, Duke,
If
Arizona.
you're not part of the 1%, it's easier to get along with each other.
Yeah, because
maybe something like that.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I'm sure that the dynamics are way different if you're going to see Duke and UConn, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If it's the Big 12 right now is this weird new Big 12 is a crazy hodgepodge basketball conference, and it's only going to get bigger. That's a crazy competitive Big 12. The ACC and SEC can be really competitive. The Big 10 can too, but frankly, the Big 10 hasn't won a title in a long time. So like, there's some of these other conferences that it's just it's going to be different.
Well, and with the Big 10, it's spotty. Like, with the exception of Michigan State, who is consistently really good for a number of years. But even they're not there anymore, I don't think. I could be wrong. Again, I don't know. But Purdue is
solid.
Not just solid, like from what I've heard, Purdue and UNC are by far and away 1 and 2.
This year
Purdue
for sure.
with the edge right now.
I mean, across a couple years, Purdue has been consistent.
Exactly, but it's not like we don't have like the same 3 or 4 teams that are right there in it year after year. We don't have that. We might have 1 or 2 year after year, but it rotates.
Yeah, so I think that turned down the animosity a little bit when you're like, yeah, let's just get to the tourney and win a couple games. We'll feel pretty good. So anyways, that's awesome.
I'm glad you had those experiences, man. And shout out to, it was Dave, right?
Dave, yeah.
Dave, who like
Dr. Dave,
like such a small gesture to him, perhaps, but your first game, you got to have 2 games with your kiddos.
I mean, not just big for me, but huge for those 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember my my cousin taking me to Blue Jackets games when I was college age, and that was like an amazing experience. Sherry and I got access to a season ticket holder to Lambeau, let us buy tickets off of them to go see the pack. Like stuff that doesn't seem like a big deal to season ticket holders or people with really good boxes at events. Like for the uninitiated, that's a massive deal and a milestone moment. So Dr. Dave, you're awesome. So there's some sports for you all. We're going to talk food after the break. And to tease you, we are going to share the clip from the Pete and Sebastian Patreon only episode that I promised to share last week. We'll play that after we hear some words from some of our friends in Odd Pods Media.
If you like fun, then you're going to love the Beard Owl podcast. It's a podcast where we talk about two of the greatest things in the world, beer and Weird Al. And frankly, we talk more about Weird Al than anything because he's the gift that keeps on giving. So join us as we talk through Weird Al's career, what he means to us, and we have some very special guests on to discuss the magic that is Alfred Matthew Yankovic. Beard Al, part of the Odd Pods Media Network.
And we're back. So 2 weeks ago, Dillon had a wonderful question that I stole, which was essentially, is it tacky to bring food into a fast casual / fast food restaurant? I got to join a Patreon member only episode of the Pete and Sebastian show. If you remember from last week, I said I blew up the chat. I spammed the chat. I finally got them to notice. And so, as promised, here is the clip from their response. I'm so excited to share with you all. All right, here we go.
Okay, here from Kory. If you're meeting with family or friends at a fast food restaurant, is it white trash for someone to bring food in from somewhere else? How many have to do that in your party before it is?
With Kory, it's white trash to meet with your friends and family at a fast food restaurant.
We got going to McDonald's, Kory.
Not only is he going to McDonald's, people are meeting up with tuna sandwiches.
Really white trash to come to another establishment with another establishment's food. I've often said that's a no-go. So that's my take on that.
Okay, so before you guys discuss, in my defense, I loved Pete's joke. It's a perfect comedic response to the question. But I did say fast casual / fast food. I think it would be less tacky to meet friends and family at a fast casual. But Sebastian only read fast food. So I do think that colors the actual feedback a little bit. Yeah, you guys maybe react.
Well, I think if I remember right, our original the situation stemmed from a trip to a McDonald's. Is that correct?
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
What a perfect response.
I think their response, few thoughts. I think their response, everything that they're doing there is to be funny.
Absolutely.
And everything that they're doing there is to play off of what they're being given, maybe have a few serious takes, but mostly just to have fun with it all. With that said, I think that's probably actually their opinion. And I think this is a little bit of I don't want to say, it's not necessarily a class thing, because I'm not saying that Pete is like upper class compared to, most people. I think Sebastian is now, B-list at worst with what he's doing with comedy and movies. And I think Pete is probably somewhere between us being blue collar and Sebastian. But I think because where they live, the East Coast, New York, you're not even thinking about McDonald's. You're thinking about local mom and pops places for food and whatever. So I think that's actually how they feel about it. I think even going to McDonald's at all probably feels a little trashy, to them. So I think they're being real, but I think they're also being funny and are having a little fun with it. So I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with them thinking that McDonald's is trashy. and also meeting up with people and bringing food from other places is trashy. That's why we asked the question. We grew up in a very different place. We talked about that throughout the podcast. Like, we grew up outside of a village in rural Ohio where we had like 3 stoplights and 2 fast food restaurants. So what's normal there is very different than what's normal in Columbus, Ohio versus Chicago or New York or LA or Paris or London or, some of these other places. So I love it. I love that they're having fun with it. I think that's how they feel, and that's totally fine. I think that's a reasonable take. That just skip the fast food places are where you go in embarrassment. You don't talk about it. You go through the drive-through, you get your food, you don't share with people, you do it in shame, and you go eat it at home.
Unless you're us, in which case you hop on and talk and put it out there for anybody to hear. Hey guys, did you hear about my McDonald's story?
Yeah, in which case we talk about it ad nauseum.
Because we don't care.
Don't care.
Or don't care.
Kendall, how fun was that?
That was great, man. Listen, I think Pete and Sebastian are they are so similar to some of the things that we love to do. And like, of course, like Sebastian has gone over that question before. Like, that's the kind of thing that like he would talk about, like all of these kind of social etiquette kind of questions that we absolutely adore. I think it's our favorite things to talk about are social etiquette things. And man, Pete and Sebastian, that's kind of their bread and butter is the social etiquette stuff. And I loved it. I love hearing them talk about things that we're interested in, because I'm not sure how many people are actually interested in answering those kinds of questions. I think it's more people than they'll admit. I think a lot of the things that we talk about are things that people think about and just never talk to each other about. I think that's true. But we'll, yeah. What do you think, Kory? How'd you feel?
I felt great, and more than anything, I'm just glad we have a new soundbite for the soundboard. You going to McDonald's, Kory? So I think that's awesome. So speaking of food, and Dillon, I see you have a food thing on here. In Boston last week, I got to go to my first ever speakeasy. I'm gonna pull up photos.
And you didn't get arrested?
Of this spot. So
did you meet people with McDonald's?
So
did you bring Mickey D's in with you?
So
Kory?
Yeah, exactly. So my colleague had been to this spot before. I'm showing you the exterior now if you're following along on YouTube. From the exterior, it just looks like a very small 3-booth, couple table taqueria. Once you walk in, there's one of those big stainless steel. So there's the order pickup window for, you think you're just ordering tacos a la carte.
Yeah.
So along one wall, I'm not going to scroll down until along one wall is one of those big stainless steel freezer doors with the big latch style handle.
Yeah.
And he just, again, he's been there before. He just grabs that and walks through the freezer. And when you walk through the freezer, you see this long hallway that opens up to this, which is 5-8 times bigger than the what you thought was the main place. And it was bumping and elbow to elbow in there with like a VIP little couch area in the back. And so there's this 1950s style meets a taqueria, and it was awesome.
Dude, that's fun.
I love
it.
The cocktails were spectacular. The tacos were awesome. I had never been to a place like that, and I think it's so fun to like have a secret door, pull this book, and then this thing opens. Or there's one famous, I believe it's a whiskey speakeasy or a bourbon speakeasy specifically, where it's like a little alley somewhere in Columbus, and you pick up an old style phone and say your membership password, and then like a door opens and then you go in an elevator up to a very fancy area with like clawfoot leather chairs and people smoking cigars. And one of the cool things I've heard about it is you're not allowed to exchange money or credit cards of any kind when you're up there. You just are going under the name of whichever member you're there with, and then they have their monthly dues. And I was like, that sounds cool. Have you guys ever done the speakeasy thing?
No, that sounds awesome. And question, was the front facade restaurant, whatever, was it serving like from the same kitchen? So like you could literally just walk in and get that food and leave.
And there were people sat in there that either know that the other part is back there or don't, but they were just eating their tacos out front. And so it just looks like a small,
I want to sit out front right by the door. And as people open the door, I just want to look at it and go, and just give them a big wink, not say anything else, let them slip in.
So for those not following along on YouTube, the name of the spot is and it's in Boston. Again, it's called Borrachito. Borrachito. There's articles about this, so I'm not ruining anything. But if you're in Boston, check out Borrachito Taqueria and Spirits and go through the freezer.
Through the freezer. Now, is this maybe I missed it, and it's super awesome either way, but is this place like, does it have actual history to it, or is it just sort of like a current, you know what I'm asking, like, is it actually from like speakeasy days?
Yeah, that'd be a really good thing that'd be a really good thing to have an answer for. And I just closed the article.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, I'm with you. Like, yeah, if there's like, you know me, I love a good story.
Yeah. Yeah. And then just a clarification too of like, is it actually a secret? Like, you said but like, does the general public of the area know what that is a speakeasy? Like, that's where they go, or is it just like tourists who are getting fooled?
Yeah,
like,
that's a great.
It's super awesome either way, but those are still curiosities that I have.
Yeah, absolutely. I got the impression, having been there, that it's kind of like, and the way that the article is written, it says like they're going for a fun speakeasy vibe for their new restaurant. So it's like a new concept restaurant with a speakeasy. So it's probably like some locals might totally know that that's back there and just prefer to eat out front and just be in and out and not have to deal with all the the music bumping in the background and like the VIP sort of super long reservation thing. And just, I want to get my tacos and go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was there for it either way.
Cool place, man. I love it.
That's
I love
awesome.
it.
Well, speaking of restaurants being much older, I'm feeling much older with my food selections lately. And in an attempt to try to eat healthier, you pick chicken places, right? So like nuggets or tenders or whatever, just to try to keep it minimal. And I'm finding that I'm really not blown away by most people's sauce selection for chicken options. And I'm surprised how many places have lots of options. It's if you want any sauce for your chicken, what do you got? They'll list off 6, 7, 8 places or types. Sometimes I'll ask for all of them. Like, can I have a little bit of all of them to try them all? I like sauces. I like to try things. Yet my favorite tends to be, much like an old man, if I'm getting chicken and I'm trying to eat maybe sides that are a little healthier, maybe I get a salad, maybe I get some mashed potatoes with gravy, just dunk the chicken in the mashed potatoes and gravy. I don't like an old man with his meatloaf and slurry sauce. Just give me a nice brown gravy for my congealing thrift bucket, as we've used before. It's so much better than some of the side, unless you've got an incredible ranch, which, to be fair, some places in the Midwest do have incredible ranch dressing for chicken. Some places have really good barbecue sauce. Some places have really good hot sauce. I don't know. I'm just feeling very old manny lately with my just give me good fried chicken and a good brown gravy. And I'm just gonna dunk the chicken in the mashed potatoes and gravy like it's a sauce. Do you get that way? Do you get like just give me some ketchup or just give me keep it simple. Give me a little gravy. Or do you like to try all the, sweet and sour, spicy Thai, hot and salty, super mustard? Do you like to try all everyone's fancy sauces? Or are you just like, just give me the Chick-fil-A or some ketchup? Just keep it simple.
I'll try them all. I usually land on one that you neglected to mention, honey mustard. I usually land on a honey mustard or a ranch. I sent you guys a picture of my hot chicken takeover the other day, to which Kendall replied, some top-notch ranch over there, HCT. They do have a good ranch. I tried some of the others, but their ranch is where it's at. Yeah, I'm a simple guy as well, man. I don't need all the fancy ones. Again, it's fun to try them. Like line them up, all opened up, ready to go, and you're just like,
yeah. I've done that 2 times at different places in easily the last 4 or 5 months. It's like, yeah, give me one of each. Each of them provided a minimum of 4 or 5 sauces. I think I paid for them, but provided, I'll use that word loosely, provided the sauces, and I just go through all of them and go, it's fine. They're fine. There's nothing. I think we're spoiled with ranch in the Midwest because we use it on so much. We're very good at it. And some of these companies are just shipping ranch from whatever hidden valley they find it in, and it's just not the same. It doesn't have pickle juice. It doesn't have real dill in it. It's just not the same.
This feels like when we, a bunch of episodes back, designed our perfect combo meal. If you could get a burger from one place, fries from another, a milkshake or drink from another, and we all went through our list. This is kind of like, where would you get fries? Where would you get chicken tenders or actual wings? And then where would you get sauces? That might be a fun.
Oh, that would be that.
We need to think through that a little bit.
Sauces, like I'm a fan of dips and sauces. Yeah. My wife makes fun of me for it. Like if I can't, if it's a dippable item of any kind, including plain potato chips or even flavored potato chips, I'm probably heading off to the kitchen to concoct something really quick. If we don't already have something. And so I do love sauces. I like trying sauces. So I'm kind of in between there. I usually, like Kory, will land on one, and then for that establishment, that's my sauce for that place. But I still tend to have go-tos. Like if it's my first time to a place, if they're making their own ranch, then I want to get their ranch. If they're not, then if it's chicken tenders, then what I probably want, if I'm unfamiliar with all of their sauces, I want their honey mustard first. Because I know that I always like the honey mustard. But then you've got McDonald's, which has a whole bunch of sauces, Chick-fil-A, which has more sauces than I've tried, and those kinds of things. And I'm somewhere in between. Like I want to try a couple, or if I know I've tried them all and they come out with a new one, I'll go ahead and give that one a shot. But the sweet and sour sauce at McDonald's is in my top 5 of sauces of all time.
Oh, you said sweet and sour, not the sweet chili.
Not the sweet chili. The sweet and sour, like the old school sweet and sour that they've had since we were kids.
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite all-time sauces. And so that's what I get there. The Chick-fil-A sauce is what I get at Chick-fil-A. But man, I do like sauces. It is a very interesting question. I'm somewhere in between wanting to try them all and just wanting my tried and true. I kind of do both of those.
And then you've got Cane's. It's like you can have any sauce you want as long as you like the one that we know is the only good one.
And I like the one that they like.
They
made the right choice.
Gamble, and they take a gamble and go, "We're giving you one because we don't need any other sauces." And I don't know what that says to all the other ones. Maybe they need to take a cue from them and say, "Look, we're gonna have one great barbecue and one great ranch, and if you really like them, you can mix them together."
Yeah,
I don't know. Cane's is just. Canes is just like, you're going to enjoy what we give you.
Nothing
Yeah.
like falling in love with a sauce and then they no longer carry it. That's what happened with the McDonald's sweet chili that I thought was very good. And then for a long time it was gone. And I don't know if they still have it.
Have you tried? You should go to McDonald's like soon and get. There's a new sauce now that I tried because they said it's new. It's called McDonald's sauce. don't wait, Kory. But they have a new sauce. If you open up the app, if you use the app, it'll give you a big old marketing thing for it.
Okay.
But it's a sweet chili kind of sauce. I tried it because it was new and I was getting nuggies. And but so I had a 10-piece nugget, which comes with 2 sauces. I got that and I got my sweet and sour sauce. I used about 2 nuggets on the new stuff. I went right back to my sweet and sour because that's what I wanted.
I know
that doesn't mean it was bad. It wasn't bad. It was good. It just, for me, it doesn't usurp the sweet and sour throne.
I know the sweet and sour at McDonald's with fries is a really big pairing.
Oh yeah.
It's not my thing. I want ketchup for show, but like a lot of people really want the fries with the sweet and sour. I know that's a thing.
Yeah, it is a thing.
All right. Give me some chicken and gravy. Is that it? Do we have anything else? I have one more thing that I'm just surprised we failed to mention. In the last week, a little bit of sad news. Comedian Richard Lewis passed away, and I wouldn't say he's done a ton of work that we've probably talked about, but he just feels a little too important as a comic, and as an important actor on Robin Hood, Men in Tights, and Curb Your Enthusiasm to not mention. And I had a little happy tear when I was first reading the article. It was very sad. He's an Ohio State alumni. I don't know if you both knew that, so it ties in to us. But I saw one of the top comments under the article when I first saw that he had passed away. And I'm very recently thinking about him because I'm watching through Curb season 11 right now. And in one of the episodes of season 10, they're golfing and he's wearing an Ohio State hat in the show while they're golfing. But one of the top comments on Richard Lewis' passing article when the news broke was, maybe if somebody can tell me the bad news in a good way, it'll make the bad news not sound so bad, which is sort of paraphrasing one of his best lines from Robin Hood Men in Tights. So I had a little moment reading the news and the comment that flashed me back to my childhood and how many times we freaking watched him in Men in Tights. And he was brilliant. So rest in peace to Richard Lewis, Ohio State alumni and a very hilarious comedian and actor.
And shout out to one of my favorite caricature artists, Jan Optebeek, who did this caricature of him. I'm sharing it on YouTube. It's very him. And I think he nailed the likeness. But
yeah, I'm literally in season 11 now of Curb, and there's a point they're sitting together at some event, a wedding or something, and they're bantering as they do in the show. And Larry looks at him, he just says to him, which Richard Lewis plays himself in the show. He says to Richard as he's laughing, "When are you gonna die already?" You know, it's like, when are you gonna go? And I just thought, man, he's like, what a way to go out playing on a ridiculously popular show like Curb Your Enthusiasm, which is on its like 12th season or something. So anyways, a nice shout out there. So thank you for all the laughs, Richard Lewis. For anyone not looking for laughs and very serious about their shopping and their products and goods that they like to buy, head over to Artiusman, ARTIUSMAN.com. Tons of great products for bathroom use and beards and showers and hairs and skins and all those things, plus candles and many more. I know Father's Day is approaching. It'll be here before you know it, and you're not going to want to be left empty-handed. Not that there's just things for dads. There's plenty of cool products. So head over to artiestman.com. Use promo code The Middle. You'll save 25% off your first order, which is a ton of money because you're going to want so much freaking stuff from them. They make incredible products and they're local to Columbus, and they are an awesome partner to us here from the Middle. So check out their products. You're going to love it. That's what we've got for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Send this to your best friends and your worst enemies, and we hope they'll enjoy it as much as you did.